Good morning. It is March 1st, 2024, and you'll see I have a ski joring background in back of me today because right now they're packing snow on the streets on Harrison Avenue and getting ready for the big annual event this weekend. So welcome back to Living in Leadville. Today, we're going to be diving into the latest updates on the short-term rental regulations from Lake County. If you caught my video from January 18th, you know the background. If you haven't seen that yet, go ahead and check it out. I'll have a link below and at the end of this video. So let's recap quickly. Lake County has had a moratorium on short-term rentals while they have kind of figured out the new system that they want to go to. And on February 28th, they finally adopted the new regulations. So the moratorium has ended, but now we're under the new regulations. The biggest takeaways from the new regulations are just like the city of Leadville, there is now going to be a cap on the number of short-term rental licenses that the county issues. So they did go through a lot of community input in this process. They hired consultants. They had a lot of sessions leading up to these new regulations, and granted, everyone's never going to be happy with all of them. They felt like this was a pretty good compromise. So let's get into the specifics. I'm going to actually look at the regulations and kind of zip through most of the highlights here. So if you look at the resolution, first, the applicability, this applies according to the regulation to anybody in zoning AF, AR, UR, RM, RC, B, R. So basically, anybody in Lake County is going to be subject to these new regulations. A license is required anytime you're going to do a short-term rental license. To operate a short-term license, the owner of the short-term rental property must file an application with the land use department. So that's over in the county building. There are two types of license. This is what's important. They are breaking this into primary short-term rental license and standard short-term rental license. So primary is issued to anyone that has a primary residence in Lake County and they're renting out part of that property. Those don't have a cap. So remember, if you live in Lake County and you want to rent out part of your home, you're not subject to that cap. You don't have to be on a waiting list. You still have to comply with all of the regulations, but you do have a little leg up just from living in the house that you're going to rent. Everybody else falls under the standard short-term rental license. And so if it's not your primary residence, that's what you fall under. So the new resolution outlines all the submittal requirements. These are also on the Lake County short-term rental webpage that I'll put a link to below. You have to have a completed license application, proof of ownership. If the property is owned under a business entity, then you have to have proof of authorization signed by all applicable members of the business entity. You have to have valid sales tax license in the name of the short-term rental property owner. That's was like that before. You have to have proof that all taxes have been paid and are current. They have a form you fill out with the property address, name, address, contact information, including a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week contact number for the property management company. Or if there's none, you have to have someone locally here is available 24/7 in the event of an emergency. You have to provide a demonstration of compliance with some regulations, including a fire safety check and a septic inspection report. Those are outlined on the website. You're also going to have to provide some information just to verify if you're applying for a primary license, including current tax return, current and valid driver's license, voter registration, vehicle registration, Colorado identification card, reflecting a physical address that matches the application. In addition, tenants must provide notarized permission. Tenant applicants must provide notarized permission from the property owner. Let's see here. They have an acknowledgement that the short-term rental property owner, property management company, agent of the owner, if any, have read all regulations, including but not limited to the standards set forth, blah, blah, blah. And the owner shall sign a certificate of accuracy of the information provided. And a property manager has to sign that as well if there is one involved. And then there's a $125 license fee. The county will provide a list of all the current licenses. I don't know if they're going to post the waiting list, how long the waiting list might be online. Might have to call them for that. Let's see here. So anybody that already had a list will be eligible to, or anybody that already had a permit will be eligible to apply for a new one. So it says here under issuance of new standard and primary licenses, new standard licenses are issued based on limited availability pursuant to section blah, blah, blah. When standard licenses are available, they will be issued on a first come, first served basis consistent with the requirements below, and all others shall be subject to a wait list. So basically you have to go through all the application, fulfill all the requirements that we talked about above. And if there's a spot available, you'll get a license. These licenses are all good from January 1st to December 31st every year. If you jump in the middle of the year, that's not prorated. You still have to pay for that whole year, and then you'll have to renew if you want to keep that license before January 1st the following year. And basically the requirements for renewal are about the same as the requirements to get the license. So the total number available in Lake County is 135 licenses. There's some other breakdown of those numbers, but 135 is the most important number there. There is a overlay area they talk about where there's a maximum of 19 licenses available, and that's mostly the area up by West Park subdivision and kind of just north of the city of Leadville. And then they have several standards that you have to comply with, including putting your license number on any advertising. As I mentioned before, you do have to get a septic inspection. If there's a septic tank, you have to make sure that you're not exceeding the capacity for that septic with the allowable occupancy. Let's see here. I guess. So basically the occupancy is going to be calculated based on 2 persons per legal bedroom plus 2 additional persons. So a 2-bedroom home would be issued a license for occupancy up to 6 people. You'll have to contact the fire marshal to get the fire safety check report that's required. You do have to have safety features. So at all times, there has to be 1 operable fire extinguisher, operable smoke detectors in each bedroom, major living area on each floor, operable carbon monoxide detectors within 15 feet of all sleeping areas, if there's gas appliances or an attached garage. Let's see here. Each rental will also have to have adequate egress and other required safety features pursuant to applicable fire and building codes as determined by the county's fire marshal. So some of this is all repetitious. Taxes, you have to be current on taxes. You have to collect lodging tax, sales and lodging tax there. Important, these licenses are not transferable. So if you go to sell your home that you have a license on, the new owner will not inherit that license. Your license would terminate along with your ownership, and the new license would be subject, or the new owner would be subject to that waiting list if they're a standard license applicant, not a primary license applicant. So you can read through some of this on the website. There is a license maximum. An individual or entity shall hold no more than 2 short-term rental licenses, primary, standard, or a combination thereof. That doesn't apply to property managers. And let's see here, parcel license maximum should be no more than 1 short-term rental license per parcel, except for a primary residence primary resident who may hold a primary license for a properly permitted accessory dwelling unit and a standard license for the main residence. Let's see here. So they do have regulations against large gatherings. Short-term rentals shall not be used for hosting large gatherings, which shall mean a gathering that exceeds the maximum occupancy set forth in that section. Some other rules here: outside wood or charcoal fires are prohibited. It shall be the responsibility of the owner or property management company to ensure tenant compliance. You can use outside gas grills or contained gas fire pits. And let's see here, each short-term rental unit shall have a sign posted within the unit or adjacent to the front containing the following information: the name of the property manager, emergency contact, etc. They've got a whole list there that is posted on the website. Let's see here. The land use director may deny short-term rental license application or renewal application for several reasons. You can read about those, and there are penalties for violations if you try to rent without a license, or if you break some of the other requirements here, and they can actually revoke your short-term license. So that's it in a nutshell. So what does this mean for you? Whether you're a resident property owner or a second homeowner, there's a clear structure in place now, and you should know exactly what you need to do if you want to get a short-term rental license. If you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Call me if you'd like any more information on these. And if you would like help with your next purchase or sale in Lake County, be sure to give me a call. My contact information is below as well. So thanks for tuning in. And as always, we'll see you in the mountains.